So today I'm going to give you 5 tips that I personally use to curb my spending so that it helps me then to focus on really where I want to spend my money, how I want to use my money. That then gives me more money to invest as well. But we're going to keep it light and not talk about investing today. We're just going to talk about the spending part, because for every dollar you don't spend is another dollar in your pocket, essentially. So tip number 1, do I really need it? You've probably heard this one before. It's been around for a while. And yeah, when you're in the shop and you're looking at something you want to purchase, usually it could be an impulse purchase. And by that, I mean something you decided to buy right then and there when you saw the item. You didn't perhaps want the item before you saw it. You perhaps didn't go into the shops looking for it. You perhaps weren't planning on buying it, but the minute you saw it, you wanted it. That's called an impulse purchase. But with regards to do I need it? When I'm in the shops, I actually take another minute and ask myself, first of all, do I need it? Well, no, I don't need it, but do I want it? Yeah. Think about it a little bit more. Stand in the shop for a minute and really think to yourself, do I need it, or have I got something at home that pretty much is the same as this already? Do I need it, or has the one I've got at home, will that do for a while? Probably. Will I have to take money out of my budget to be able to afford this? How am I going to afford it? Am I going to have to take money from something else without using a credit card? Can you come back for it in a week or so? If you're really not sure if you need it, or if you do not need it, but you're telling yourself you do need it, how about come back for it? Put it down, come back for it tomorrow. Better yet, come back for it next week. Chances are you've probably forgotten about it by then, so you actually didn't really need it in the first place. I do this quite often with online shopping. If I'm having a look online and something's caught my eye and I start looking at the shop, what they've got, I'll add a few things to the basket, to the shopping cart, but then I won't go ahead and make the sale. I'll just leave it and go back to work. Sometimes you just need to take a breather. So if you're in a shop and you see something you like and you know you're making an impulse purchase, you're trying to talk yourself out of it, just leave it. Come back for it next week. Chances are you probably won't come back for it next week. Tip number 2, instead of this, I would prefer that. Often if you see something in the shop and you're trying to talk yourself out of it again and you think, oh yeah, I really do need that for all the reasons you're coming up with. Often I find it helps me if I just go, you know what, I don't actually need that, because even though that particular item costs maybe 10 or 20 or 15 bucks, whatever it is, that money could go to something else that I really want. So by me really thinking about what I want, whether it's a holiday I've got coming up or another piece of some sort of item of some sorts, saving that little bit of money to put to the thing that I really want, it helps me to remind myself that I really have something better in mind. So that often stops me from spending money just willy-nilly. Just keeping in the back of your mind something that you know you're interested in, that you would prefer to have. So I want this instead of that. Instead of that, what I'm about to buy, I'm going to save my money and put it towards that. Even if you only save 10 or 20 bucks or something, all those small purchases that you make over time on buying just stuff, it all adds up. It all buys milk. And if you curb yourself from doing that often, you'll find that you can put a lot more money into your savings accounts for a holiday, for example, something that you really want more so than the bits and pieces. Shop with a list. Number 3, tip 3, shop with a list. This is simple and effective. It's a pretty common thing, but really, do you do it? I keep lists usually for my groceries. Also, if there's some clothes in mind that I have in mind that I want, I might keep a clothing list, or some travel items, or whatever my case may be. Don't just limit your list to having a grocery list. Don't have 10,000 lists, otherwise you'll be making a list for the list. But groceries, for example, don't go to the shops without a list. How many times do you either forget something or something else goes into your trolley without the list? There's a lot of apps these days on your phone. I use an awesome one called Our Groceries. You can even sync that up with other family members in your family, so that when you're at the shops, if somebody adds something to the list, you can literally tick it off your phone knowing that you've picked it all up. That will also help you make you more conscious of when you're putting something into the trolley that isn't meant to be in the trolley. Tip number 4, don't shop hungry. Have you ever been to the grocery store on an empty stomach and find you pick up all sorts of random items because your brain is looking at that food, wanting instant gratification and an immediate hunger fix as well? Your brain really rarely thinks that you also have to go to checkout and pay for that before you get to enjoy the food. So quite often you're just grabbing things off the shelf to curb your hunger, whereas they are not on your list. They should not be in your shopping trolley. So try it out for yourself. Going into a grocery store hungry is just torture. Don't do it. Tip number 5. This is a good one. I like this one. If you don't live Gucci, don't buy Gucci. What do I mean by that? Well, I used to go and see this particular hairdresser, and we used to get talking about bits and pieces as you do at the hairdressers. She knew I was fairly good with money, but she'd always whinge to me and carry on about, oh, money this and money that, money troubles, and I never have any money. And she really wanted to buy her own home. She really wanted to upgrade her car. She was driving a bit of a bomb. And she would admire me and say, how can you be so good with money? Why don't you buy things? What's your secret? We got onto the subject of shopping, and she told me how much she loves designer handbags. Now, this chick didn't earn a lot. Unfortunately, hairdressers are not paid a lot quite often. She was a great hairdresser, but she wasn't paid a lot. So for her to be going out and buying designer handbags, that didn't kind of add up. I said to her, well, the shopping bags. I said, I don't buy the shopping bags, the designer bags, quite frankly, because they don't go with my lifestyle. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, if I don't live Gucci, why am I buying Gucci? What I meant by that was, think about the suburb you live in, the car you drive, the house you live in. If your lifestyle isn't reflecting your shopping habits, namely designer handbags, if you can't walk the walk as well as talk the talk, then perhaps your shopping is misdirected. If I'm not living in a great suburb, driving a great car, to have the handbag on my arm, which all goes together, then perhaps I need to rethink. There's no point in living in a crappy suburb, driving a dodgy car, if you have a fabulous handbag on your arm. It doesn't add up. So think about your lifestyle and think about your habits. There's no point misdirecting your money to things like designer handbags if that's stopping you from what you want in life, as in a home of your own, a better car. So I told her, I don't currently live in Gucci. I don't shop in Gucci. Doesn't mean I don't buy nice things. And believe you me, I spend a hell of a lot on travel. That's my thing. But I also have the lifestyle to match. So I have a good balance when it comes to money. So they're 5 tips. I hope you get some value out of them. Just have a think about your spending. Every time you want to spend $1, be conscious with your money. Don't be stingy, be selective. Consider how much stuff you buy and how much stuff you bring into your life. Remember, stuff, items, things for the house, things you don't need quite often, it's just stuff. You won't get any happier buying more stuff. Stuff usually goes down in value. Stuff usually gets boring or old after a while, and something better often comes along. So think about replacing your stuff purchases with lifestyle purchases, with experiences, things like enjoying dinners out with friends and family, things like traveling. Wow, that can expand your mind and your world, let me tell you. Things that will create lasting memories so that you have them long after the novelty of stuff has worn off. But in either case, stuff or experience is still spending. So just be selective with your spending and be conscious with your money. Make sure you control your money, because when you control your money, you live the life you want.